Welcome to Buckets Live, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, and I feel like I've sweat out my entire body on the Mavericks-Clippers game, which was absolute insanity. We will break that down today. We will talk about tonight's games. We will talk about Sixers-Knicks and how, God, the Sixers are just so many bad things can happen at once for them. We will give you best bets for the Monday slate in the NBA playoffs. We will give you picks for tonight's games between the Bucks and the Pacers and the Suns and the Wolves as the Wolves try and get the brooms out. We will break it all down. We'll give you market reports. We'll do it all here on Buckets. Glad to have you with us. If you're in the chat right now, give me a like, smash that like button, hit me one time with that like button. I don't mean one time, I mean like repeated times. Just unlike it and like it and like it and like it and like it. Give me the comments and tell me one of the best bets you have for tonight, one bet you have for tomorrow, or a bet that you hit today that you're really proud of, because it's been a wild day of hoops and there should be lots of bets in there as we go through this. Want to let you know today's show is brought to you by BetMGM. Use bonus code ACTION when signing up to get $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Bonus code ACTION will give new users in North Carolina $150 in bonus bets for betting just $5. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. On this Buckets Live edition, I'm joined by Michael Fiddles. He's on Twitter in the Action Network app at FiddlesPicks. I've got Brandon Anderson. He's the NBA futures analyst. He is at Wheaton Brando. He unfortunately has to handicap an Eastern Conference game today, but I did manage to get him off of Cavs Magic, so he's going to need to owe me for that one. In the comment section, No Ketchup wants me to talk about how I capped Mavs clips perfectly. I don't tend to do the victory lap. I will just say that I did a whole write-up on the Sunday's games and talked about how if Kawhi played, I like the Mavericks. If Kawhi did not play, I like the Clippers, and I like the Clippers team total over, and both of those hit. So we did pretty well on that. It's not rocket science. The Clippers, when Kawhi did not play, they ran pick and roll. Today, they ran pick and roll. In the two games with Kawhi, they did not run pick and roll. I don't know why this is such a problem for them. Spoiler alert, you should put the Mavericks in rotation. That's what you should do, because they have a rookie center and Daniel Gafford as their centers. Make them rotate, for the love of God. Before we get more into Clippers-Mavericks, I do want to talk about Pacers-Bucks, because we do only have about 20 minutes before tip-off of that. Neither Fiddles nor Brandon have bets on that game. I, however, am on Bucks plus 10. This is not a complicated cap. This is an extreme letdown spot. You have a young, inexperienced team that has never been in the playoffs before this year. You have them up 2-1 in a series versus an experienced backs against the wall team down two of their stars. Totally understand it. How are they going to win this game? They don't have Dame or Giannis. I don't even know necessarily that I love the money line on this. I just really like the spread, and that's rare. I understand the Matt Mitchell rule about how often teams that cover win the game outright if they're dogs, and if they win as a favorite, they cover. I get it. This is a special circumstance. This is a letdown spot and a half for me, where I just do not think that the Pacers are going to be equipped for. They're going to let down a little bit, because they're going to be like, we got this, man. We're at home. We're up 2-1. No Dame, no Giannis. And the other thing is, they've had a ton of success attacking Dame and pick and roll. That's been like the majority of their offense. If you watch those games and you're like, God, Andrew Nembhard is like handling the ball a lot. That's why, because they are going at whoever Dame is covering in pick and roll. That's no longer the case. So the Bucks now take a weak defender off the floor and add a good one. Chris Middleton looked to be like he could actually do some stuff offensively in the last game, and that went to overtime. So I like Pacers plus 10. Fiddles, do you have any lean on that game whatsoever?
So I think Pacers Bucks plus 10 is the correct way to go. The under has taken so much movement, opened at 224.5, down to a close at 215. Obviously, that has a lot to do with Lillard's injury and the news that he's going to be out. But given the fact that the under is probably priced out, you got to correlate, Matt, your Bucks plus 10 in a game that's supposed to be low scoring. To ask the Indiana Pacers to win by 11 in this spot is going to be difficult. So if I was going to lean and bring in some market views, I would say the under has been so priced out that the correlated angle to play this is Bucks plus 10.
Pacers getting 77% of the tickets, but the Bucks with 51% of the money. But we are tracking sharp action on Pacers spread. Money line money coming in on the Bucks, predictably, just as like long shots, but no sharp action there. So as he mentioned on the total, undertaken sharp action. It's interesting. So we've got 76% of the tickets on the total over, 86% of the money on the total over, but we're tracking sharp action on the under, and that's why that line's moving down. So the market movers are the ones that are in on the unders in that game. Let's talk Clippers-Mavericks, which was insane and just insane. Paul George comes out and has 26 in the first half. Can't miss. He absolutely lights him up. They stick Derek Jones Jr. on him in the second half and they start doubling to make sure that he can't get going. And this is consistently a problem where PG, like you can find on Action Network. If you search for it, you can just Google it on up. I did an interview with him a couple of years ago when he was an MVP candidate with the Thunder, and this is very much how he goes. He likes to attack in spurts. So if you are covering him a certain way that he's got an advantage, he will hurt you over and over and over again. But once you adapt, he is not going to be like, I got to force my way through this. He's going to be like, I got to let my teammates now have an advantage. I'm going to let them get open. I don't always agree with it, and I think they almost lost his game because he didn't try and counter it. But James Harden delivers in the second half down the stretch, floater after floater. I thought it was a mistake for him to go to 5 guard, but it worked. It countered the small ball unit. He finally pulled Zoo versus those Maxi Kleber minutes that I've been talking about all series. Brandon, Kawhi, okay, out this game, and they say his availability is in question for the rest of the series. They're not ruling him out, but it's not like he'll be back next game. What does this do for how you're capping this series? What does this do for your thoughts on series futures? What do we think as far as the Kawhi impact and the fact that they're 2-0 without Kawhi and 0-2 with him in this series?
Yeah, it's very hard to cap because so much of the series is just who's hitting the shots, right? Like, we know that that's how a lot of the playoff matchups are going to go in general, but Clippers and Mavs especially, it's just, okay, well, here we go. First quarter, Clippers 8 of 11 on threes. The shots are falling. Clippers, guess it's a Clippers game tonight. Everything's going in. And then mid-second quarter to mid-third quarter, Kyrie goes off. Kyrie shots are falling. Everything going in. Here comes the big comeback. Clippers finish 18 of 29 on the threes today, 62%. I looked it up on Basketball Reference. This is only the 7th playoff game ever where a team made at least 18 threes on at least 60% from the field. As you would probably guess, those teams all won, so 7-0, but only one of the games was even close. So to me, we should be concerned that the Clippers shot this well, like shot the lights out of the ball. Even when they cooled off a little bit, they still were making a lot of shots. PG hit that amazing shot from the corner, like somewhat behind the backboard. And the Mavericks still came back. And then the Clippers pushed it up to like 9 again. I was like, oh, okay. So the comeback failed. We're done here. And the Mavericks still came back and they took the lead. And we needed that PG shot. And we needed the Harden floater at the end again. By the way, we give James Harden all sorts of slander for playoff games. James Harden was fantastic. Yeah. James Harden made all the plays he had to down the stretch here, and he's had a lot of other games like that. He's had some very bad ones, but he was very good here. I think, to me, the Clippers, I don't have the exact numbers because we came on right after, but something like minus 12 rebounding edge, so edge to Dallas, around 10 free throws, edge to Dallas. To me, you have a series that is unpredictable, where I keep just wanting to take the underdog, because if you're going to give me some points, sure, I'll take the points. I'll take the plus odds because I don't really know whose shots are falling anyway. I lean Clippers money line here also. But if it's that close, and to me the series is kind of a Mad Libs, the one edge that's consistently coming out is the Mavericks are winning the margins. They're getting the fast break points. They're getting the lobs. They're getting the second chance stuff. They're getting the offensive rebounds. They're getting the stuff that athleticism and young legs gets you. And that, frankly, if Kawhi is out, that's one less body. That's more minutes on PG and Harden and those guys late in the game. It doesn't matter for Westbrook. He'll never run out of energy. But to me, I have to lean on an edge to Dallas, I think, just because it's so close. And that one edge, like the Mavs athleticism seems like the edge. But Matt, you and I did the series preview before coming in, and I lean Clippers then in a long series. I think we're getting the long series. Got that part looking right. Obviously, at least 6 games here. But we agreed this just isn't a series you can bet with confidence. And I think we're still there. We're still there. You can't bet the series with confidence. I don't think you can bet a game with confidence. I don't know that we still have learned a ton. Like, I was ready to start betting team total unders because the teams can't score. And then the Clippers come out and hit 1 billion threes. So I'm still being careful. And I guess the one thing I will say is this. A week ago, I wanted, once I got a handle on who wins this series, I wanted to bet this team futures. I wanted to bet West futures. I'm not there anymore. I'm not looking. I'm not saying they can't. And this is partly these teams, it's partly OKC. It's the whole picture. But I'm not actively looking to invest, and certainly not in the Clippers, given Kawhi's uncertainty right now.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So here's some interesting things in the market. Game 5 opens Mavericks -2.5 in LA. Okay.
Why's out, that means.
Clippers are +135, Mavericks -160. So Fiddles, I kind of think, based off of my cap, that they are better without Kawhi in this particular series with where Kawhi's at physically. I'm kind of the opinion that this is a misprice on the market from the perspective of they have to downgrade the Clippers power rating because of Kawhi. Like, they are taking the Clippers power rating and they are dropping it, and then they'll make in-series adjustments based off of momentum and series handle and everything else that the market will exert the pressure on. That to me is like kind of the indicator here, is that they are I love these spots where it's like the Bucks have to downgrade them because Kawhi's out. They have to downgrade them. You're not as good without Kawhi Leonard. Except that in the series, that hasn't been the case because they are specifically running different stuff that attacks the Mavericks differently. There are things that Jason Kidd can do to counter. Like, people are going to tear him up for not playing lively down the stretch today. That's going to be the talking point in Dallas tomorrow on radio, is why did you not have a big in there to challenge James Harden on these floaters? Why did you not have rim protection? Which is going to annoy me because I'm going to be like, guys, look at, like, they have killed them in the Cleveland minutes. Killed them. Like, they destroyed them with the small ball unit because Lou kept playing into it, being like, no, I'm going to keep Zoo on the floor. Can't do that. You cannot play Zoo versus those Cleveland minutes. But the counters, the counter adjustments in this series are very interesting. If you put Lively back in there, now all of a sudden the Clippers are able to space the floor more effectively, but that might work okay because I don't have a lot of faith in Terrence Mann being able to hit open shots. So there's a lot of ways, that kind of things that go into this. Series price at BetMGM, Clippers +135, Mavericks -160. So again, the market is definitely just in a straight up, Kawhi's not going to play, the Mavericks should win this series. And I get it. I think there's a lot of reasons to still think the Mavericks can win this series. From a value standpoint, I'm definitely on the side that the Clippers have value at this point in the series because of how I feel about the Kawhi dynamics of the series.
Yeah, I agree. There's probably betting value on the Clippers side. It's not going to be a side that I personally want to touch, whether it be the downgrade from Kawhi. And this is a clear early signal that we're expecting opening line Kawhi Leonard remains out. We look at this, and to me, it's books are not going to overreact to either the Kawhi news or the shooting variance. We saw this with the Miami Heat after they took game 2, and it still opened at like -8.5 or -9 for Boston's first game in Miami after a loss. So I think the books are simply throwing away the sample size of 18 for 29 on 62% shooting, like Brandon threw out earlier. When we talk about James Harden in this game, there was one clear thing. I saw a guy who isn't a system player, but rather he is a system. Right when we heard Harden show up to LA at the beginning of the season, he came out with this ridiculous quote of, "I'm not a system player, I am a system." And what we've seen with Kawhi Leonard out is the James Harden system. They are playing, just put the ball in his hands, let him initiate an offense, let him drive and kick. You're totally right that they're not respecting Terrence Mann's 3. They are wide open attempts. So is he it becomes almost like Grant Williams-esque. Is he going to knock those down? And that's going to be a make or break for the game. It's to me, I still feel like this is a Mavs series to back, and taking Luka to be an absolute killer moving forward. He picked up 2 quick fouls early today and then started to defer to Kyrie. And Kyrie had a fantastic Batman and Robin type of game. So I think we see a different version of Luka come out and play more aggressive from the jump, where you have Luka picking up 2 quick ones, and you also have Zoo and Mason Plumlee picking up 2. You took away Luka's ability to just feast against like the smaller defender, get into his spots, and then draw a foul against the big or just get an easy layup. I thought the early foul trouble skewed a lot of what was going to happen and led to that big Clippers lead early.
So I don't disagree. I think a couple things. The Clippers seem to have figured out that Terrence Mann's not the move here, which is good. Mann's kind of known as like their best perimeter defender, but you don't want small guards on him. You want wings. That's what you want on Luka constantly, and he's going to hunt some of the mismatches. He's not like a relentless, like very tactical, like I will consistently hunt this weak spot. He likes to go to different dudes, and that's just like how he's always been. Mace did a really good job on him on switches. That's the other kind of big thing is that the Clippers switched up a lot of what they did on Luka in the third quarter. And for the first time this series, when Mace was on the floor, they switched it and we're like, go to work. Like we'll give it to you. We're not going to let you space. Like we're not giving you the lobs anymore. You killed us in game 2 with the lobs or game 3 with the lobs. We're not giving you that anymore. Also, just as like a general thing, if Luka Doncic is going to be this absolute killer that everyone describes him as, maybe you should stop bitching at the officials after every single play. Just like maybe that's an idea that we could do is we could play basketball instead of complaining on every single fucking play. I have a crazy trend, Brandon, related to the 3-point shooting because you tweeted about the Clippers 3-point shooting, and so I wanted to check it. Okay, get this. In the playoffs, after game 1, because I didn't want to do it versus 2 different opponents, so same opponent. After game 1, after you've won your home and you shot 50% or better from 3 in the previous game. You with me so far?
Yep.
Okay. If you are favored at home, which the Clippers are not, but if you are favored at home in those games, 31-18 straight up for 63%, 25-24, just 51% ATS. However, the Clippers are not. They are underdogs at home in this game. Dogs, after winning on the road and shooting 50% in the previous game, 1-12 straight up and ATS.
Oof.
I don't know what that means. And like this also, by the way, gets into the thing I like doing with these kind of spots is, do you think that line's appropriate? Like, do you think that the Clippers should be 2.5-point dogs at home to a 5 seed that basically just played great in March? Or do you think the Clippers should be favored? Like, if you think that the Mavericks should be favored, then you should probably bet the Mavericks in this game based off of the trend of like how the market has been right on this indicator. Like that's how I always think of it when this matches up with the favorites and dogs. Is I think of it from the perspective of, was the market directionally correct? Does that track Fiddles from like a logic standpoint?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. To me, it feels like a Mavericks.
If it doesn't, tell me.
No, from it just, to me, it's just a putting the trend to a tactical thing, which is you're so great at. I would just assume that this means if you're going if you're 1-12 against the spread coming off of a big win when you're shooting well, it's pointing to, yeah, books throwing away the shooting variance is the correct thing. And the flip side is you probably get a lot of on-ball pressure, which really changes things. The tactical adjustment is going to be pressuring the ball. When I look at the way the Clippers made the threes today, they felt like the most difficult shots in the world. Like they were similar to what Embiid was making in game 3, shooting above his defenders. The shots that PG, Norm Powell, and Harden were making, I know Harden's got that the step back as a staple move, but it just seemed like it felt so lucky every time I was watching the Clippers today.
All right, let's talk Sixers-Knicks because, oh my God. All right, I was on Sixers -4.5 here. I don't know how. I don't know how that. I don't know how they lost this game.
Hey, we have breaking news, by the way. Mark Daigneault just won Coach of the Year. So cash your Daigneault Coach of the Year bets.
That was an easy one. I stayed off of it because I was like, they can't give him MVP and Coach of the Year, and I chose the wrong.
You're right. You were right.
I was right. I was right. Unfortunately, in the worst of ways, but very deserving. Youngest roster in the league that Mark Daigneault took to the 1 seed with, by the way, a now 3-0 advantage in their series. Updated odds via BetMGM for Knicks Sixers. Knicks are -900. Sixers are +575. Now the Knicks with a 3-1 lead. Brandon, so here's the thing. After last year, I didn't want to bet against the Knicks because I was like, last year, I was like, all right, fine. The offensive rebounding thing just works. I don't really get it, but fine, I'll accept it. But like the market kept pricing these things where I was like, no, like I think the Sixers are better. Like they should win these games. This is like the third game where I'm just like, I don't know about this one. I feel like they should have won the first 2. I I don't know. At this point, I'm just kind of like, I'm just going to bet the Knicks blind every game. I'm just going to Brian Fonseca with Heat money line. I'm just going to Knicks money line every game. Should I just do that at this point? Because I don't understand how this team just wins with offensive rebounding. I don't understand it.
I have in my notes that like this literally feels like it could be a Sixers sweep. It could be over right now. Philadelphia has, for much of all 4 games, felt like the better team that should have won the game. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what it feels like because they ain't winning the games. They're down 1-3, 3-1, whatever. And I think we're done. Like, I think minus 900 is pretty accurately pricing it, even if we think Philly has been the better team through 4 games. Like, Matt, this is where we were at when I did the game 2 and series double. Was I know, I agree Philadelphia was the better team in game 1, but it doesn't matter. They lost the game and now they're going to be on a short rest game. And here we are again. We're back to, we're one day in between games all the rest of the way. Even if we get up to game 7, we're one day off and flying back and forth every game the rest of the way. Doesn't seem great for Joel Embiid, given what we've seen, given the way that, I mean, look, we'll get to the good stuff with Embiid. You sent our Slack. This is one of the best games you'd seen him play at halftime. And then he kept playing and he kept playing. He played every minute of the second half, I believe. Played the whole fourth quarter. He made 0 shots from the field, despite the fact that Mitchell Robinson was out and Isaiah Hartenstein got 5 fouls in the third quarter alone. So Precious Achiuwa is the center on the court. OG Anunoby, giving like half a foot to Embiid, is defending him in the fourth quarter, and our defending MVP for at least a few more days got 0 buckets, 1 free throw. The Knicks finish with, the Sixers finish with 10 shots missed in a row to end the game, 3 points the last 5 minutes. So we're going to talk about Embiid. We'll talk about Brunson, I realize. I got to come back to, Matt, you said, okay, can you just win with offensive rebounds? I think you can just win with Josh Hart. So here's the Josh Hart line. This is an absurd line, and it comes with a trivia. So listeners, we got swag, Action Network swag. I'll get to the trivia in a second. Here's the Josh Hart line for today. Dude played 46 minutes. So all but 2 minutes of that game, that energy and physicality, and he went 0 for 7 from the field with 5 turnovers. That is your Russell Westbrook game, right? From game 3, that's the game where you are the reason your team lost. Josh Hart is not the reason his team lost because they won. Here's the rest of his line. 17 rebounds, including 5 offensive rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, multiple of which were like memorable big moment blocks. So see, I think he got a point. I believe he got a free throw. So I think like 1 point, 0 of 7 from the field, 5 assists, 17 rebounds, 3 blocks. That is like the blueprint of how do you impact a game positively when you can't get a shot to fall. This is the game you're going to put there. So I wondered, when's the last time we've had a game anything like it? And I first looked up in Basketball Reference, 5 assists. I think I looked up 5 assists, 3 blocks, 15 rebounds. We only had one of those ever by a guy named George Johnson back in 1980. Way too hard of trivia. So here's the real trivia. When's the last time, regular season or playoffs, and you guys here don't answer yet. We're going to let the folks in the YouTube comments answer. Last player to go 0 field goals for the game, but give me at least 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks. Now, again, Hart had 17 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks. So I lowered the standard there, but no shots from the field, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks. So we'll give you a little bit to guess that one. That's my Josh Hart line. And really, like, Hart is emblematic of who the Knicks are. He's the guy in this weird stat line, even in a game when Jalen Brunson set the all-time franchise record for points in a game. Here I am fixated on this weird Josh Hart line because that's kind of what the Knicks are, isn't it?
First off, good luck for anybody trying to hit that. Can I bet that nobody's gonna get this? Because like that's like just ridiculous trivia question. A couple things on Hart from a tactical perspective. The Sixers had done a really great job icing him, which means that they're pushing him away from the middle of the paint and pick and roll. He did 2 different things today. One, he spaced out more to get himself. Like the last 2 games, he started to basically move instead of trying to fight. Because this is one of the things with ice. If you fight it, you're just going to run into more contact. And you're going to bring help to you. If you just if you're able to move away from the middle of the paint, drift to that elbow spot and then shoot or pass, you're going to have a lot more opportunity, especially given the fact that there are ways for you to get more distance for feeds. They were able to do a really good job of that. So a phenomenal job by Brunson of adapting to the pick and roll coverage that had given him trouble in the first 2 games. He's solved it, and I think the Sixers and Nick Nurse are going to have to try something different. Lots of people giving some options in here in the chat for the trivia question. So, Michael, I'll ask you this. Knicks are now 5-1. I think if you're going to bet the Knicks, you don't need to be betting. I'll say this: you don't need to be betting them in the series. If you're going to bet them, in the series, you should just bet them. Like, you should bet some futures here to give you a hedge position. It's going to be a nasty, painful hedge with Boston, given how much that they'll be favored, assuming that Boston doesn't lose to Miami. They're 5-1 to win the Eastern Conference right now, which that feels short to me. But I will say, like, I mean, given the Bucks situation, they're going to be massive favorites versus the Pacers, like huge favorites versus the Pacers. So if you like the Knicks to win the series, I think the value's got to be on Knicks Eastern Conference futures, right?
That, or I don't really love the idea of a Knicks future, because then you're hoping that they get a good price versus the Pacers and handle them. So, I mean, if you're confident that they're going to be a large favorite, I think Brandon is fantastic at like predicting series and pricing out what they may look like and determining the implied probability through the series. I would say the value is just you take them in game, what is it? 5 -4. You immediately pick off against the spread Knicks. At the beginning of this discussion, Matt, you said the market has consistently priced the 76ers as the better team. We had a opening line of 76ers -4.5 for game 4. We had a closing line of 5.5 or 6. We have the Knicks win on the money line, like outright, go home with all the momentum, which I guess people say isn't real in sports. And then they come out as -4 at home. That is just cement that it is a Sixers are the better team according to the market. The results have not panned out. That's why I'm just so late on the Knicks train and the Knicks bandwagon. They make it look ugly. To me, it feels so reminiscent of the Lakers free throw discrepancy, where like I can't figure out why it is, but it is the way it is. And I have to accept it that the Knicks are going to make the game ugly. They're going to muck it up. They're going to out rebound you. And it's going to be a close game regardless. And they're probably going to pull quite a few of these out. So I think Knicks -4 is actually the best value on the board if you're a Knicks backer. Again, I'm a market reader. I like to say I love the game of basketball, but I know I'm not smarter than the market. So I like to find where I believe my basketball opinion aligns with the market consensus. So for me, it's going to continue to be 76ers or nothing, because that's what it's telling me. However, this might be a time I need to jump the hell off the bandwagon, sit this one out, and understand that there's probably value on Knicks -4 at this point. I was saying it before last game that Knicks +5 has more value than the 76ers -4.5.
A couple things. One, they've absorbed the dark voodoo from the Heat that beat them last year. And two, I want to praise Brandon for not cackling when he said, Fiddle said that the market he's not smarter than the market, because that is like the antithesis of that's why I like this combo.
I was thinking to myself, well, that is the opposite of how I like to bet. I like to think I am always smarter than the market. Let's go, market.
Yeah, that's why I like this combo, is because Fiddle's a market reader.
Can I add on to that? Can I add on to that? If I was attacking a futures market like Brandon, then I think I would hope that would be my mentality, right? Because when you're starting to look at a futures market and you're saying, well, things are drastically going to shift and narrative's going to shift and market is off here. So there's real value in taking this long shot. So Brandon's like plus units compared to his win percentage is the reason why he likes to fade the market and be so good at futures.
All right, some of the suggestions we've got from the chat segment. We got Andre Iguodala, Aaron Gordon, Rodman, a couple picks on Rodman, Kevin Willis, Draymond Green, Marcus Camby, Horace Grant, Oakley again, Rodman, Joakim Noah, Bill Laimbeer, another one for Camby. So Brandon, what's the winner?
I'm loving these guesses. Like what a great roster of just like dudes who can't make a shot but absolutely win playoff games. Like great like 12-man roster there. I'm gonna give you guys a shot here. Fiddles or Matt, do you have a pick for 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks? I'll just, to narrow it down for you guys, I'll say this game happened in the last decade.
Is he a projected Hall of Famer?
Yes. Well, yes. If I'm projecting, he is.
That takes out my guess because I was going to guess Samuel Dallenberg, so that's probably not going to
No,
be the
that's
case
out.
for.
I was gonna guess Anderson Varejao.
Ooh, that's another good one. That's a really good one. I have no idea, Brandon.
So when I saw this line, 0 of 7, this again, the Josh Hart line, 0 of 7, 5 turnovers, 5 assists, 17 rebounds, 3 blocks, 46 minutes. I literally wrote down in my notes, that is the most Draymond game I've ever seen. So I looked it up. The most recent 10 rebound, 3 assists, 3 blocks game with no field goals is Draymond Green. And it's
Wow.
not just Draymond Green. Here's the game it's from. February 27th, 2016 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. You might remember that one. Steph Curry, 12 threes, including the walk-off 30-footer. Like that game, the double bang game, that's the Draymond game we're talking about here. He went 0 of 8 with 14 rebounds, 14 assists, 6 steals, and 4 blocks. Like, it's so cool to me that we have a Jalen Brunson franchise record game, and that's the line we will always associate with on this game. And then you had underneath it the guy that just did the stuff, right? Just did all the other things.
Winning
and
plays.
Here we have, like, to me, that game, that OKC game, I know, like, I'm a Steph Warriors, yay, like all the things, shooty hoops, like that game will always be one of the greatest games I've ever watched. That comeback and the OKC, the overtime was an incredible game. And to have that Draymond underneath all of that was very cool. So we did get a Draymond guess in here. I'm trying to scroll down.
Dennis SL. Dennis SL.
Hit
you need email podcast at actionnetwork.com and we'll get you some swag courtesy of one Matt
Well
Mitchell.
done.
Nice job. All right. Tonight, the Minnesota Timberwolves take on the Phoenix Suns as the Wolves try and sweep Phoenix. Already reports that Frank Vogel is probably going to be fired if they lose this game, because that's what you do, is you blame the coach because you can't do anything else. So that's what you do. Fiddles, give me the line movement discussion because this game has seen some weird stuff go on.
All right, let me ask you a question before I answer your question. How much is Grayson Allen worth to a line? Is he a role player that's probably worth half a point, but technically worth 0 in the market?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm really confused by this, guys, and we have to dice this out and talk it through. Last night when I went to bed, the Suns were +2. Now I wake up and the Suns are -1, and they've stuck there all day. And this is a moment where I'm thinking down 3-0 at home against an inexperienced playoff team, a franchise that hasn't won a playoff series going back decades. Is this the moment that we fade or play into the late steam, fade the early steam of the market, and take Suns -1? Because that is very telling to have 3 points of line movement. I'm waiting for Grayson Allen to officially be active, but there's so much within me compelling me to play Suns -1, to play Suns -4.5, to play Suns -8.5, and to say this is the one where the Suns win by double digits and then probably get smacked in the mouth in Game 5 back in Minnesota.
Yeah, I got a weird sense of this one where I in the guide that I wrote, I was kind of like, I'm gonna stay away from this one. If I'm betting it, I'm betting Phoenix, mostly based off of the market move, because I do lean a little bit more to Fiddle's way of thinking about the market. It makes me very nervous in this spot. We saw the Nuggets and their performance versus the Lakers. They're in a little bit more trouble. We'll talk about them in a minute. But I think the Wolves are wired a little bit differently than Denver, because Denver won the title, and I think that they feel pretty invincible right now. Minnesota doesn't have that attitude, so they may just go out there and rip their heart out. However, there are things Phoenix can do here from a variance perspective to get a win at home. I don't know that, like, if you ask me about the tactical stuff, I'm just going to be like, it's all Minnesota. And it's like, well, what's the big problem? And it's like, well, the Wolves won't let you dribble, and they don't have anyone that can dribble against guys that won't let you dribble, so they can't dribble. That's the problem. Like, literally, the only advantage that they really have is Jaden McDaniels guarding Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant eats him up, but the problem is the rest of the offense dies. So, like, KD doesn't force the issue in all of those matchups. He's shooting like 70% versus Jaden in the series and in the regular season. Like, Jaden can't guard KD, but they do not. This is one of the problems of these, like, super teams. You got to have, you can't just have one guy going at it. Like the Knicks can just have Jalen Brunson fuck you up for 45 minutes and nobody on the Knicks is going to complain. They're going to like, yeah, go get it. Go get it. Go get it. Kill him. They're fine with it. The Suns are like, well, no, like, I'm a superstar. I need my touches too. Like, that's the problem here. Also, it's very hard for Kevin Durant to sustain that level of consistency and efficiency over the 45 minutes, but he might have one tonight. There are things that they can do. Like Nurk played wretched in game 3. He was pretty good in games 1 and 2. If you get more good minutes from him, that will work. And Vogel did start trying some stuff with small ball units. Like he played Bol for 7 minutes and it was a +2 because like I suggested this on Twitter and everybody's like, you're out of your mind. I'm like, no, I'm serious. I think Bol sucks, but all you need is a viable 5 option. That's all you need. You have, like, I cannot stress this enough. The Suns cannot play 48 minutes with a center on the floor. You can play Nurk, and you can play Nurk for like a solid 38. The remaining 10 minutes, they got to get to a small ball lineup that does not involve Kevin Durant at the 5. Because the Wolves are like, we will sniff you out and we will attack you with Karl Anthony Towns. Like, we will beat the snot out of that lineup. For whatever reason, I mean, I get it, because the reason is it's Bol. But like, they need to actually go to that, or they need to play Thad Young. I don't know if he'll do that in this game. If he plays Thad Young, I'll just tell you, if I see Thad Young like check in, I might blind bet Phoenix. And I know that sounds insane, but I'm just telling you, like, that's these lineup machinations are how you get around teams like Minnesota that are like, we have an impenetrable wall of big defenders with great point of attack. How do you beat that? You have to space them out. And Phoenix isn't doing that. If they switch that up, that goes the other way. That's like the tactical side of this. Brandon, you are on different thoughts of this game. What do you think? And what are your bets on this game tonight?
Yeah, I have a series leader bet I'll get to as well, but I'm going the other way, and I'm not going to give you tactics. I'm not going to give you strategy. I'm just coming in with just raw emotion and just reading motivation. And I just think we're done here. I think that the Wolves come in and finish cleaning the Phoenix's clock like they have the entire series so far. The whole thing, and look, I got it totally wrong. I have been on the wrong side of this series from the get-go. The entire thing that has gone against me is Minnesota has played with more force, more intensity, more energy. Why would that not be the case in a game 4 for a franchise that has never swept an opponent ever before, for a franchise that has not been past the first round in 2 decades, that's only ever even won a playoff series 1 year in franchise history? This is not a team like Denver, you said, who's like, it's fine, we'll just get the next one, no big deal. This is a hungry team that, like, their entire style and the way they play screams, we're not screwing around going back for game 5. We want to embarrass you and finish you off right here, right now. Like, when you are from Minnesota, when you're old, you go to Arizona when it's time to go on vacation. Where do the old Arizona guys in this game, where are they going on vacation? Like, do they already have the Cancun tickets? Do they fly like to Asia or so? I don't know where they're going, but they're already halfway there. They have quit in games multiple times. Like, you see it in the way they're playing. They're giving layup lines to the basket. They don't want to be here. And like, you have a report about Vogel possibly getting fired before the game has even happened. Like, this is a team that already knows the series is over. And sorry, but this is a team that doesn't have LeBron and Anthony Davis and think, hey, we've been in these games. We can come back from down 3-0 because guess what? We've been ahead by double digits all 3 games before.
That's a good point.
Kevin Durant is not LeBron James. Sorry, he's not. And I have been a huge Kevin Durant fan, but that dog, this team ain't got it. So this is not, I was ready to go Wolves. It was -1.5 last night when I looked at it. So it's actually moved back a little bit. Chris Finch, by the way, 4-0 against the spread as a favorite in the playoffs. Round 1, game 4 visitors after a 4-point road win. So you won on the road. Now you're back on the road again. 36-23-1 against the spread, 61%. So I was ready to just go Wolves, but now I'm just going to give full credit to our guy NBA First 3 on Twitter. Make sure you follow him. Gives out great bets. Gives out lots of long shots. You know, I love that. I'm just totally tailing his bet here. Give me Wolves -5.5 and Wolves -19.5. I'm hitting the escalator. And here's why. 9 times since we've gone to a 7-game series has a team gone 3-0 by at least double digits. This is straight off of his notes. This is not my numbers here. In those 9 times, what happened in game 4? 7 of the 9 completed the sweep. They all won by at least 6. So there's your minus 5.5. Right now I'm seeing that at plus 182. 3 of the 9 teams won by 20 or more points. Phoenix is a team that is ripe to get run off the court and out of the gym and completely mail it in and just like foul themselves out and get out of here. I think that's the game that we could be getting here. And since I just said a whole lot of good things about Minnesota and I haven't been able to really do that very much, I also kind of think this is the last time I'll feel good betting Minnesota this season. So I had to go ahead and get one Wolves bet in before I finished up here. So that's where I'm at. Wolves minus 5.5, minus 19.5 right now. I'm seeing at plus 1,200. So, you know, just some nibbles here. But I think that the Suns lose. If the Suns do lose tonight, today is our last day of the season with 4 NBA games, and I think it will be.
If we get Nuggets Wolves in the second round, I can't wait to bet Wolves against you. I can't wait for this. Phil's, I want to ask you about this because like I've heard you on, and you can check out Phil's on his Advantage Sports Betting podcast. These kind of alt plays are things that you tend to, not as a blanket rule, I think, be negative on, but I am curious as to your thoughts on the value here on playing this alts in this particular spot for Phoenix with Phoenix on the Wolves.
I actually like selling points. I hate buying points. So I think of it like there's a ratio of how many the VIG is going to change versus the outcome probability of that number hitting. So in an NBA total, like if you're going to try and buy points and get a better line, then you should be doing it at 2 cents for every half of a point. And now when we get to an odds board and they're charging us minus 115 for the difference between 227.5 and 227, I'm using arbitrary numbers, that's not worth it. I like to go the other way, where if you're going to start to give me, okay, minus 107 for a 226.5, and I'm going the other direction, then I will actually take it. So there are specific numbers relative to exactly the outcome frequency and the exact number of the spread or total that makes it worth it or not worth it. And generally, when you explore those options, it becomes not worth it to buy insurance. I do not like playing, oh, Tatum's points prop is 29.5. I'm just going to play it 25 or over at minus 400. I think that you're going to get burned more often than you're going to win because of the insurance policy that you're taking. And so for those reasons, selling points, and when you want to double down on your opinion, I do think makes sense. Now, to Brandon and what NBA First 3 is saying here is the Suns have given up, and this might be a 20-point route. So let me take a nice boosted escalator on them to have given up. Or let me take a minus 4.5 because the 4 most common outcomes in NBA basketball are 7, 5, 6, and 8. And then in NBA playoff games, we see larger discrepancies. So if you could move that from a money line to a minus 4.5 and take an extra 30% on your winnings, then you might actually be doing it. I have officially gone the other way while Brandon was talking. I have submitted a BetMGM ticket. I have used his own policies against him in discussing a 60-30-10 split. And I played 60% of a unit, so 0.6 of a unit on that Suns -1. I played the plus 310 minus 9.5 for that 1/10 of a unit. And my middle is that minus 4.5 at plus 165. I'll be on escalating the opposite side as Brandon. I think it's a good idea to sell points, not buy them. And we're both doing that with just different opinions on which team to take.
So we don't really think the game's going to be a great game, one way or the other. We are expecting it not to be a close one.
So yeah, we're all going out for drinks during it.
In the 48 sweeps since 2003, the average margin of victory for the sweep team is 10.8. The average ATS margin is plus 5.6. And when the team does not pull off that sweep, they lose by an average of 9.3, and they fail to cover by an average of 11.3. I want to look at and see what this happens when they're a dog when they lose.
Let me just add on to this. I can't get over the fact that the Suns came out in the series as favorites per like the series price before game one. Obviously, they're down 3-0. They won 3-1 in the regular season, and there's 3 points of late line movement towards the sun here. Something is in these waters, Brandon. This is fishy.
It's true. I'm wondering, I'm not going to do this, but I'm curious what either of you think about this. Based on the numbers you just gave, Matt, that basically we're seeing in the spot the thing that both Fiddles and I are saying. We're seeing not a close game either way. Either the team that fades off, that staves off elimination wins by a bunch, or they go to Cancun in a hurry.
Yep.
Why don't you play both sides? Why don't you play Fiddles' pick and my pick and skip the low ends, skip the 60% part, and just play like the 10-point margins both ways and make that your bet?
Because with my luck, it'll be like +6. That's what, that's
I could quickly do some math on what that ROI would be if you took maybe both -4.5s and you said, hey, this spread is floating in the area of zones that don't really happen often in the NBA playoffs. An outcome of 1 is the 11th most common outcome in the NBA, and that dips in the NBA playoffs. So if you want to move both spreads out to like -4.5 and lock in like a 10-11% ROI, I don't know what the numbers are, there might be some value in doing something like that.
Well, folks can do that on their own because we got to move on because we got to get the best bets for the Monday slate.
Let me do my my series leader bet.
Yeah, you got a series leader bet on this one.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite bet on this one. Is Devin Booker is +275 to lead the series in assists. He's got 18 right now. We got Conley at 18, Ant 19, Beal 16. So it's very close, but Booker had 9.5 potential assists the first 2 games, went up to 20 last game, had 8 assists. He also, if you bet just tonight's game, Booker is the clear favorite to lead the game in assists. Like he's +125. Next highest is +275. So all he has to do is have 1 more assist than Ant to tie him, and then hold off Conley and Beal, who are tied and behind him. So I just think it's the numbers there. And honestly, if the series goes longer than tonight, it has to be because Phoenix is scoring and getting some buckets, and that's going to have to probably mean some assists too. So +275. I got a couple other series leaders for Monday that we'll give to you, but I like that one for Booker assist leader.
All right, we're going to hit the Monday slate right now. We're going to do a reset, and we'll hit him for the Monday slate. Give me your best bets in the chat. Give me that like. Give me that good like. Got a lot of folks hanging out with us in the chat right now. Would love to get your bets for Monday. Let's get started with Buckets Part 2. Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, recording this on Buckets Live. Folks are joining us in the chat right now. You can do that with us on Sundays. We're doing this in between the late slates. We'll have another one next Sunday, as well as we will actually start to get to do them during the week. Haven't been able to program them because all the games are like, hey, do you want to stay up till 2 o'clock Eastern and do a live show? And I don't want to subject our poor producers. Not even Tito deserves that. Even as a Heat fan. So I didn't want to do that, but we'll have those probably this week. The response has been great. Really like that folks are enjoying the show. Make sure to give us that like button if you're listening on YouTube. If you're listening to us on the podcast, make sure to give us those 5-star reviews and download the Action Network app. As a reminder, today's show is brought to you by BetMGM. Use bonus code ACTION when signing up to get $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Bonus code ACTION will give new users in North Carolina $150 in bonus bets for betting just $5. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we're going to hit the best bets for the Monday slate. Like I said, we're doing this on Buckets Live. If you want to hear reaction to Clippers, Mavericks, and Knicks Sixers, just go check out the YouTube show at youtube.com/The Action Network. Let's go around the horn and give our best bets for the Monday slate. We have 3 games in the association on Monday in the playoffs. We've got the Boston Celtics taking on the Miami Heat. We've got the Lakers and the Nuggets facing off, as well as the Thunder and the Pelicans in the late game. We've got the Heat are +10.5 at home after getting shellacked in game 3. The Pelicans are +4.5, trying to stave off elimination in a sweep. And the Denver Nuggets looking for the gentleman's sweep, because you give them one to be polite. They're 7.5-point favorites at home versus the Los Angeles Lakers. This is looking at 7 right now. We'll talk about it more. I'm genuinely shocked that this line hasn't moved more with some of the late news on Jamal Murray. We'll talk about that here in a minute. All right, Michael Fiddles. I got Michael Fiddles and Brandon Anderson with me for this edition of Buckets. Fiddles, what are your best bets for the Monday slate?
OKC -4, And I think I have a play on the Lakers-Nuggets total on the over, but let's talk about Jamal Murray as we get into it.
It's Fiddle, by the way, not Fiddles. He's Fiddle's picks. I get that slipped up. Brandon, best bets for Monday.
Yeah, I've got a couple of series leader bets I love. So in the Celtics-Heat series, give me Jason Tatum to lead the series in assists plus 290. And in that game, I'm going full Brian Fonseca. Give me the Miami Heat plus 10.5 and give me the money line plus 430. I will explain why. And then in our other series that I think probably ends, I agree with Michael on this one. Give me Larry Nance Jr., series rebounding leader, 10-1 odds on that one. And we got a same game parlay involving him that we can't bet yet because there are not lines up, but we'll talk about when we get there.
All right. I'm on OKC minus 4.5, and I'm taking the Los Angeles Lakers on the money line. I think they're winning this game. I'll talk about that here in a second. Let's start, however, let's start Pelicans, because I think that one's pretty interesting here. Pels on the road or at home trying to stave off elimination. Fiddle, I've been interested. The Pelicans are taking some sharp money here. We've seen some action in the Action Network app. It's still early on that game, but no real line movement here. However, 85% of the tickets, 96% of the early money is on OKC. This is one of those that I like to track because when you see those kind of differences, and you're like, yeah, but why hasn't the line moved? And like, that's the point, is that you have this two-way action where like there's all of this energy going one direction, and yet there's enough sharp tickets coming in to keep it dragged down and keep it stuck in place at this 4.5. Now, they might be simply a matter of like, there's just not that many tickets on this game yet. This might not be a game that the bettors have really sunk into. We'll probably see a lot more action on Monday morning. We're recording this on Sunday afternoon during Bucks Pacers. But what is your kind of thought on the market move on this one? And why do you lean towards OKC minus 4?
So the market moves first. I think the line is kind of reached its consensus and threshold. I think it's appropriately priced right there. So I'm going to agree with you that there's probably not that much action in the market on this game. The reason why I am willing to play OKC minus 4 and now minus 4.5, still playable for me, is because it'll qualify for my first round favorite system that I like to back. We're going to have a 1 seed, doesn't matter home or road, minus 4 or greater. You back them against the spread. Historically, it's got a 60% hit rate and 18% ROI. This season so far, it's 5-4 against the spread. So as long as OKC gets it done, we're getting back to that 6-4 and 60% that we're used to. Still profitable if you've been blindly betting it. I should take my own advice more because I haven't betted enough this season. Celtics, those numbers have been too high for me to back, and we'll talk about that game in a second. But OKC against the spread, I do think is safe. Dagnall, coach of the year, his coaching chops have been on full display in this one, whether it have been a quick pull of Giddey in game 1, going back to him in subsequent games, and him actually performing quite well. The Chet and Jalen Williams, big Jalen Williams, playing on the perimeter so much has been amazing at giving the Pelicans matchup nightmares and having them being forced to play a guy like Larry Nance. So I just think the OKC is just such a more dominant team. They're going to have a sense of urgency because everyone's been hating on their ability to close out a playoff series all year before we even seen it. So let them come out with something to prove, get one of the only sweeps done, because I don't think the Suns will get swept tonight. So get the only sweep done in the first round and send a statement to the league, which has us questioning if we're playing Mavs or Clippers next round, because OKC has looked great so far.
Brandon, so you're going the other direction on this, where you don't want to bet the game, and instead you're going with series leaders as a way to kind of bet the series ends here, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know that I'm really even necessarily trying to stay away from betting the game or looking to bet that the series is ending. I think I like this either way.
Yeah.
To me, we've talked a lot in our Slack about this, about Jonas Valanciunas, and would he be able to physically dominate the smaller OKC team? And obviously that's going to continue to be the story with the Thunder, is you got skinny Chet Holmgren and you got this smaller team overall. And what's going to happen in the playoffs when it's physical, and how will they face this big physical team? Chet Holmgren, by the way, in game 3, 6 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. If you just look at the box score, like, this is the ultimate did you actually watch the game line. Chet Holmgren was a monster in game 3.
Yeah,
Chet Holmgren had 4 blocks, and he Like if you looked at some of the advanced metrics, I'm sure, where it's like how many shots did you impact or affect that, or shots that didn't happen because he was suddenly there. Like, dude is just, and he had like highlight blocks too, is just making a huge difference. And it doesn't really matter whether it's Valanciunas or Nance. And Willie Green, I think is just done with JV. I think he's done with Valanciunas. He only played him 12 minutes last game, and Valanciunas had 4 rebounds, and Nance played 29 minutes, his highest of the series, and had a 13 rebound game. Someone's going to get rebounds. The Thunder are not a great rebounding team. So whoever the center that's out there for the Pelicans is going to get some rebounding chances. Quite frankly, he's going to get some offensive rebounding chances because they're going to miss a bunch of shots too. So this to me is just a bet on, I am ready to say, you know what? I think Willie Green's just done with Valanciunas. We've talked about, is he coming or going? Is he going to have to be in the series? He's going. He's going at the end of the series to be on a different team after this. And I think that Willie Green is done trying to save whatever was left of Valanciunas. So to me, I mentioned a same game parlay. When it's available, there are not lines yet, because I wouldn't even honestly be shocked if Nance ends up starting here. So I want to bet this bet right now because the odds can only move against me otherwise. I want to build the same game with Valanciunas points under, Valanciunas rebounds under, Nance points over, Nance rebounds over. And don't get too aggressive with the points on Nance. He doesn't always score a lot. Rebounds especially is what I want there. But I'm basically just capping playing time. So if I like the rebounds, here's the series leader bet. Valanciunas leads right now with 31. He only had 4 last game because he's not playing that much. If I'm right, then his 31 may not hold up to Nance's 27, Chet 26. Chet's been very steady. Nance is steadily increasing. Why? Because he's steadily increasing in minutes. It's just going hand in hand there. He had 13 rebounds last game. Chet's at 26 through 3 games. That's just under 9 a game. And Nance is ahead of Chet right now. So if he just stays ahead of Holmgren and passes Valanciunas 10-1, I will like the bet if it ends. If you guys are right and the Thunder win, great. Let's be right. Let's get Valanciunas out of here. And let's have Nance just be on the court and gobble up all the rebounds. I think that's where the series goes anyways. Even if it extends further, I think I still like Nance to just continue to get more time and more rebounds. So to me, that's the only angle of interest for me in this series right now. Pelicans are just outmanned. They don't have enough offense in the series. I like some of the matchup stuff. What's up?
I was going to ask you, because I know that you like Pels in this series. What surprised you about this one?
I don't know that even really surprised me. The matchup stuff that I like, to me, came to fruition in game 1, and they could have had it, and CJ missed a shot at the buzzer, and I think that that's it. Like when you're the 8 seed and you have a chance to steal a home game from the 1 seed, you either get it or you're done after that. And I think and I realize that sounds results oriented, and we've seen like dominant wins a couple times since then. To me, that was the shot. I liked a long series. And I like them to be able to kind of use their physicality, their turnovers. One thing that hasn't gone my way, Pelicans had the #1 3-point percent defense for like 2 seasons in a row. Doesn't matter. Apparently Lou Dort makes 4 threes and Josh Giddey makes 4 threes and OKC is like 42%. Like they made 17 threes on 47%. The Pelicans shot less threes and 28%. And they had 21 turnovers, and they shot 38% from the field. Like, it's not going to cut it. This is not going to happen here. So I never was betting on CJ and Brandon Ingram. That was not the bet. That is never the bet that you'll hear me make. I was betting on the defense and the turnovers and the weird first half thing with the Pelicans and their away record. And we had a chance in game 1. And I think if they get game 1, I think the series goes a lot different from there, because now you have a 1 seed reeling a little bit, punched in the mouth, and like, okay, what happens? They didn't, and I haven't really been looking to bet the Pelicans ever since then.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it actually is that was the inflection point, was that game 1. And what happened was Mark Daigneault took a timeout. They challenged something, but he actually took a timeout there and like settled them. And then Brandon Ingram vomited on himself while the Thunder, like Shea hit 2 tough buckets and they settled down. And once they got past that hump, that was like a step for them for being like, no, like we're same team. It's still just basketball. It's the playoffs, but like all we got to do is slow down a little bit. And then since then, they've just destroyed them. Like they've just completely eradicated them. The shooting variance is a problem. The Pelicans were like the number 2 3-point corner team in the league this season. Yeah, they're shooting 19% on corner threes in this series, which is not great. And the Thunder have one of the highest, not the highest, the Magic are actually there, one of the highest differentials between what they should be shooting and what they're actually shooting in terms of location percentage, which isn't always the most accurate, but it is like a variance play there for sure. Here's a trend for you. Up 3-0, favorites on the road. This goes in with this is like an extension of Fiddle's.
It gets better every game, right?
Yeah. So top 2 seeds on the road favored by more than 4 is a banger, as he's given out, and I've been following him on that one. Just no spread adjustment here. Up 3-0, game 4, favored on the road, top 2 seed, first round. So just one of the best 2 teams in the conference versus what should be an outmatched team. They've proven it by going up 3-0, 22-10 straight up for 69%, 19-13 at 59% ATS. So it's been pretty good on OKC. Brandon, please enlighten me why you want Miami plus 10.5 on the tell me, like, be honest. Is a little bit of this just spite? Like, is a little bit of this just like you don't want to, like, you hate Miami and dealing with them every series, so you might well make some money on it? Like a little bit?
It's not. It's really not. It is a recognition of who the Heat are and a recognition of who the Celtics are in their blood, of who they are as a team. I realize I'm not breaking ground here with this thought, but as we watched the Celtics, as we watched, quote unquote, I have still seen 0 seconds of the series. I intend to keep it that way, and Boston can close it out and I can move on with my life. I can still make money off of it. As some of us watched game 3 and the Celtics went up 7,000 to 39 at halftime, and it was again unwatchable as this, quote, rivalry continues to be. They made all their shots and they looked great, and they came out it wasn't because they made all the shots. It was because they were locked in. It was because they did the plan. It was because they tried on defense and the effort was there. And if the effort is there, then they're 1,000 times better than the Heat, and Heat fans would tell you the same thing, and they can't win. However, why was the effort there? Because they lost game 2. This is who Boston is. They get overconfident and then they choke and they don't show up for the next game, and then they lose, and then they're like, oh man, we lost. I don't like the taste of my own blood. Better actually try the next game. And then they're good. So I looked it up. I wanted to see, this is what I think in my brain. Do the numbers fit this? So the numbers fit this. Oh man, do they fit this? Since the bubble, so 2020 forward, when the Celtics are favored after losing as a favorite. So that's game 3. We just watched that. They lost as a favorite game 2, their favorite game 3. The Celtics are 12-3 against the spread, 4.3 points in their favor. So that has been a great spot for them. On the flip side, when the Celtics, same span, bubble forward, 2020 forward, after the Celtics win by more than 10 points in the following game, we're here. We were there in game 2. We're here again in game 4. After they've won by more than 10, 8-15 against the spread.
You're shitting
and they have
me.
lost 7 of the last 11 outright, all but 1 as favorites. 3 of them to the Miami Heat. That's it. That's the cap. I got no tactics. I'm not watching the series. I don't even know what's happening. Give me the Fonseca Heat plus 10.5, plus 430 on the money line. I'm playing the Celtics trends. They let down in this spot.
Yeah. Okay. So the question here is similar to the Sixers argument, which is you have to decide whether or not the Celtics team is different or not, whether Porzingis essentially makes them different or not. If you believe that this team is still the same, if you're just like, look, I don't care, same coach, same front office, same best player, same second best player, much of the same roster, even if it's like no Marcus Smart, etc., they're still the Celtics, and there's something that like bleeds through there. I get this. Like the counter argument would be like, look, yes, they did that. So like last year, we actually underestimated it. Like we made a lot of money by betting every Celtics team that they played. We were like, oh, we'll take them plus 2.5. Like Hawks plus 2.5. Oh, we'll take second round Sixers plus 2.5. Oh, we'll take Heat plus 2.5. And we killed on it, but we never we didn't go far enough on a lot of these. Like we didn't bet Sixers plus 1.5. We didn't bet Heat to win the series. Fiddle, this is a system play. but I think it is built off of like the idea that they are the same team, and like that has to be, I think, the determination. If you think that Porzingis makes them different, they respond, and if the Celtics team is different than they have been, they respond, they win this game, and they win it by margin. Otherwise, they are the same team that they've been, and then Brandon's going to be cackling.
Well, and here's my response to that. I was with you, Matt, coming into the series. I felt like it doesn't really matter. This is a different team. They're a better team. It's not just Porzingis. It's Drew Holiday, true. And Drew Holiday, to me, is the guy that is supposed to change that mentality. The guy's got a ring. The guy makes all the winning plays. We haven't seen it from Porzingis. Maybe he'll be on that list too, but we have seen it from Drew Holiday. I was ready. Turvey and I talked about we wanted Celtics sweep. Whoever they're going to play, that was our pick for the series. Ended up being that the price was unplayable because it was a minus number in front of it, which was an absurd price to put on this. But we thought, okay, this team is different. They're going to take care of business. I thought Celtics should have lost one game or less the first two series combined. And they still could. They still could do it. And that's how I came into the series. And then they went out and pooped their pants for the entirety of game two. And I know. Yeah, because the Heat made a bunch of shots. Yeah, because you gave them shots. You gave them 50 3-pointers to step into it. It's not your fault that they shot really well that game. That's variance. It is your fault that they had like 27 uncontested threes, and that was your stupid coaching plan, and that's what you gave them. And that took my confidence away, and that made me think, you know what? Until the Celtics prove that they're actually not the same old Celtics, I might have to treat them with kid gloves. And so here we are. That's the bet. It's luck. And you are getting a small bet, and it's just playing the trend and just saying, you know what? We've watched a lot of Celtics and Heat, and why should I magically believe it's not that anymore until the Celtics actually take some money of mine and prove that it's not that anymore?
All right, Fiddle, what do you think about this?
I actually think it has very little to do with the teams that are playing. And I want to introduce a concept that's used in poker called game theory optimal. And it's the idea of like, when you're given a hand in poker, you literally just always do the best strategic math play every time over and over. What's the plus EV situation in this instance? And that's what Spoelstra's doing with the Miami Heat. He is playing game theory optimal basketball, winning the math battle, and saying our only chance as underdogs here is going to be by shooting the shots that are worth more points and running them off the line. We talk about it, why the Suns can't win. We have to throw the other way and say the reason why the Heat can win. And I agree with Brandon, and it's the reason why I'm not playing the Celtics as the system play, because with my perspective, if you're going to get a 4-1 money line on a coach, on professional athletes who are doubling down into game theory optimal strategies, then that's probably the right side to be on. The under is the side that I took for this game at 204. And so you weren't going to catch me dead playing a minus 11 on the road while I'm also on a 204. It makes no sense to combine those tickets. What am I going to hope for? A team wins by 12? And like, I'm predicting the exacta at that point. I might as well switch that philosophy, just bet a Heat team total under or look for escalators in that direction. So I'm going to be on the under. And I think if there was going to be a spread or money line play, it has to be a Heat team that's going to hopefully shoot well at home. We'll see if the Celtics put as much on-ball pressure, but it just comes back to like math and game theory.
Yeah, there are a number of ways that this goes. As is fascinating analysis by me. This could happen in a lot of basketball game, could end in many outcomes. I will say, like, there are different types of Heat zombie games where there's games where the Heat win because they shoot the lights out. There's Heat games where the opponent loses their ability to function and just like dribbles water out of their mouth trying to drink. There's a lot of ways that they can get there. Again, this is a good. I'm staying away from this one. I think it's a good opportunity for Boston to finally be like, no, like we're actually different this time. Like, no, this was the fourth best SRS team of all time.
But we've given them that opportunity like 12 times in the last three playoffs. And like, to me, Fiddles, you brought up the poker thing. To me, this is when you have bet into a hand and someone has made a big raise and all the cards are down and you have to make a decision. And I'm calling and I want to see the cards. And I know I probably have a losing hand because my hand is Tyler Hero and Caleb Martin. And I'm probably going to lose with my hand, but I need to see that you're not bluffing, Celtics. I need to see you actually have something. I'm calling your bluff. My best bet that I like better in this one, this is my favorite bet on the podcast here. Jason Tatum, series assist leader. I think this is terribly mispriced. It's plus 290. Tyler Hero is heavily favored at minus 400. Tyler Hero has 20 assists. Jason Tatum has 19 assists. So he is an 80% implied favorite with one more assist. Now here's how it's gone. Tatum has 10 assists, 3 and 6. Hero has 4, 14 and 2. He had one game, the huge shooting game. And granted, I realize my bet is hoping that it might happen that way with the Heat money line. But the way that the Heat were played that game, the way they were played defensively, put the ball in Hero's hands to make a ton of assists. He had 21 potential assists that game, only 8 and 7 the other 2 games. Tatum, pretty standard. Tatum's at 6.3 per game. He was at 6 per game against Miami in the regular season, 5.5 a game last year against Miami, and that was with Smart around to still do a lot of the handling. 5.8 per game the last 3 playoffs. We're getting 6 per game from Tatum. Nobody else is in play here. The next closest is 11. So it's just Tatum versus Hero. I get at least 2 more games. I just get to bet Jason Tatum versus Tyler Hero, and I only have to have 1 more assist, and it's plus 290. That's it. I will bet against Tyler Hero any chance I can have. I think plus 290 is a terrible number. I think Jason Tatum should be favored with a minus in front of him on this.
Yeah, that was a scheme adjustment in game 3. I think that's a great call. All right, final one. Lakers Nuggets. Jamal Murray is questionable with the calf strain. The market, I guess the market's basically just like, we'll see if he plays.
The market said this is one hell of an over spot, and then the Jamal Murray news came out.
Yeah. The line it's moved a half point. Like there's still the same spread in the market at 7.5. There's a couple of 7s now if you want to get an extra half point on Nuggets, but pretty interesting there. This did open 217.5. That's why I've got the open at. Is that what you've got the open at 217.5?
Different spots, different places. Opens were between 218 and 219.5.
Okay, and then now we're seeing 217.5. Is that right?
Yeah, and I wonder, is that discount because Murray's going to play? Is that kind of we should buy off of that over ticket if we already have something at 218 and play under 217.5 and not open up a Polish middle and just kind of flip those tickets against each other and eat some vig loss and work off of that? Or there's a potentially one other strategy, which we'll get into when we dive deeper.
All right, well, hit me with it, because 56% of the tickets are on the under, 88% of the money, and yet we're tracking sharp action on the under. Give me your cap on why you want over 217 Lakers Nuggets.
So I'm positive that this is a very sharp number to grab, the over 217.5 in this game. It is absolutely at a discount right now if Jamal Murray ends up playing and being active. Now, here is the best way to bet it, in my opinion. And I spoke earlier on this podcast about how I hate buying insurance points, and I hate playing heavily juiced lines, and I hate same game parlays, but rules are meant to be broken, and there are exceptions to these things, and there are situations that present themselves where you need to throw out some of these blanket rules and say, this might be worth it. And with BetMGM, you could put in a same game parlay with a player prop and a total, and if the player does not play, the entire bet is voided at tip. So what if I buy something really insurance on Jamal Murray right now and play a minus 1,000 line with him, and also go ahead and play that over and parlay them? Because if Jamal Murray is out, then I don't want that ticket and it simply gets voided. And if he is active, then I hope he's going to hit his 10, 12, 15 points, whatever I play. And I'm actually going to get a slight boost on the payout of the over ticket, which I really want. And the insurance here is that Murray's going to be active.
It's so
genius.
Okay. So
wait, I want to point out one other thing. BetMGM is the only book you could do that at. Don't go do that at FanDuel and think you're going to get voided because of it, because that's not going to happen. You will get that leg voided and the other leg will be active, and you'll be behind CLV. You'll be 2.5 points behind the market. You'll have an over 217.5 when the market's at 215, and you're like, oh crap. But at BetMGM, it's voided.
Okay. So let's hit this. What's the outcome where you lose is Murray plays and it goes under. Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Given that unders have been kind of a wagon for the Nuggets at home, and given that Jamal has looked like absolute trash, now he can absolutely go for 35 in this game. Like, I like Jamal a little bit better when he's hurt, not gonna lie. Like, he gets hurt and then he starts to actually like activate and go, but he has not looked in condition and he looks slow. And I'm not surprised to see him pop up on this injury report. It wouldn't shock me if he played, but he has played badly. He has shot badly in every single game, including game 2, where he hit the incredible game winner. How does that factor in here where it's like, yeah, but he may just like tough this out even though he shouldn't, and then he plays? Is it just one of those like, well, the math is in my favor and I'm willing to take that outcome?
Yes, it is as simple as if I grab his over 10 points on a minus 2,000 line and I pair that with the over here, then the expected chance that he's going to hit that 10 points is very high. I feel pretty confident about that. And then the total is going to close at 219.5 or 220. It is going to move about 3 points on his news. I'd say it's probably priced closer to Murray being doubtful, which gives me some pause right now. I would lean to you to say, because I know you're in with the Nuggets and you're often at these games. So have you heard of Jamal kind of been banged up the last few games? Have you seen anything from being there that would give you a direction beyond what we've heard on just like questionable?
Yeah, I mean, he had, so the bigger problem is that he had that injury, and I don't remember if it was a calf or a hamstring that was bothering him, and so he sat out like 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
And the bigger problem for him is like he has not come back in shape. Like
right, it's probably compensation related too, right?
Yeah,
you come back too soon, you're favoring one side, something else goes.
Right. And so now I just think that he's going to want to try and play here. I'm not sure that he should. And this gets into one of those nasty battles where like the training staff is like, hey, you probably should sit this one out. And he's like, I'm fucking playing. And that happens. Like, that just happens with guys. I happened with Kawhi Leonard in the last 2 games where the training staff was like, hey man, so like you can't move. And he's like, no, I'm fucking playing. And then you're like, okay, because you make $45 million and I make less than $100,000 a year. So I guess you get to make that call. And that's kind of part of this equation. The problem here, and I'll get this in, this is why I'm on Lakers money line. The Denver Nuggets this season are 7-11 versus teams over 500 when any of the starting 5 is out. They are 7-11 straight up, not ATS, straight up. They do not win when they do not have the top 5 versus good teams. It is imperative. The bench is not as good as last year. And there's a lot of numbers that are like, well, actually, the non-Jokic, and I'm telling you, the bench is not as good. You need Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown took the ball and did what I would call fullback dives last year, where he would get the rebound and he would just spurt up ahead of the entire defense and get a layup or a foul. You just need those simple plays, just simple, basic plays to lift up the team. Christian Brown can't do it. Peyton Watson can't do it. Reggie Jackson can't do it. So, and Reggie Jackson, by the way, been awful. I've been said this consistently on all of like the Nuggets coverage that I do. Like, yeah, he's been bad. I cannot stress enough how banged up he still is, and he's still sick. He's been sick for 2 weeks. Like, Reggie's in it right now. And he could be starting in this game. Okay. If you ask me, like, okay, so do I need to wait to see if Jamal's out and then bet the Lakers? I would tell you can bet it now. Look, I bet Lakers in most of these games because I'm just like, look, you can't, if you consistently are getting double-digit leads, you should win. Like, I have a hard time with this, and this is where like a lot of the Nuggets media is like, no, Matt, you gotta understand the Nuggets are different. And I'm like, no, like I have the broad scope of history behind me here, and the math says if you keep going down double digits, you're gonna lose. You're just not gonna pull it off that many times, and that's consistently what's happened. Now, is it possible that the Nuggets come out and absolutely eradicate them in this game? 100%. Under no circumstances should you bet this game on the spread. If you're betting Lakers, you should only bet spread if you're betting Nuggets. If you are betting Lakers, do not take the points, bet the money line. That's not because of the Matt Mitchell rule. It's that I'm telling you, it's like, then we're going to see the same script that we saw in all of these games, and you're going to have a double-digit lead, and then you can hedge if you want to, or you cannot, depending on, because the market's not going to give you a good number, because even though the Lakers held them off last game, it's happened too many times, and now we're in that Patrick Mahomes zone that Brandon's always cackling about, where it's like Nuggets are down 10, still favored by 3.5. Like, you're going to have that kind of a situation. Look, I think the Lakers are live. I bet them before the series. Okay. I bet the Lakers before the series. I would have given it out on buckets to win the series as a value number play. I'm not like the Lakers are winning this series. The Nuggets are probably winning. The Nuggets probably win tomorrow night. The Nuggets do not look like themselves. They are not executing. They have fucked around too much, and now Jamal's hurt, and they have no bench. This is a problem. The Nuggets are live. The Nuggets are live to get caught here.
As a value proposition, if you are betting the Lakers to win game 5, then go home in game 6. Matt Moore, are you betting LeBron and the Lakers to win the series?
I already bet it. I bet them to win the series. It's in the action.
Are you giving it out? Are you giving it out on buckets as a bet?
I don't think I will give it out, but I don't think it matters. Right? I'm not. It's like follow Brandon's best bets for futures action. But I will just say that like I can't help but look at the value on it. Now I do. The irony is that I gave out Lakers a parlay of Lakers ticket with Mavericks, and now the Mavericks value would be way better today. But I do think just from a value proposition, yes, I think it's worth betting. I think this is closer than
I mean, I will say after game 3, it dawned on me that there is a real world where a week from now, we live in a world where LeBron James has the greatest 3-1 comeback of all time and the first 3-0 comeback in NBA history. Yep. We're staring at that world and all of the LeBron MJ conversations that come with it. When he gets both of those two things together, we're staring at it and it is terrifying and I don't like it and I already hate the conversations. After game 3, look, when the Lakers are up by double digits in every single game, you have to take them seriously as a team that can win games. This is not crazy logic. Like, I agree with what you're saying, Matt, that when they're in the game every time and that it's close, like, look, before the series, I summarily dismissed the Lakers' chances of winning the series or winning games at all. And I still bet Denver -1.5 in the series because I was like, but the Lakers are always in the game, so they could probably steal a game or two. They've stolen a game. They probably could have stolen more games. Like, fairly, the series should probably be 2-2 right now, maybe even 3-1 to Lakers. It's not. We talked about that with Knicks Sixers. It matters that you win the games at the end, and the Nuggets do the thing at the end. To me, I think you're right. All the stuff that you said about the Lakers are in this. The Lakers are live. I think all those things are right. I also think that it's game 5 in Denver with 1 day of rest and a travel day. And we have this old Lakers team with LeBron and Anthony Davis. They all just played 39 minutes again. I know what the conditioning goes. I know how this favors. I know how the second halves go in these games. I know which team I want when it's going to be close late. To me, I can't play it right now for 2 reasons. Number 1, I need Jamal Murray out there. I don't disagree with you. If Jamal Murray is out, oh boy, now I'm really not loving like, oh, okay, 3-1 in a series and the second best player is out like Draymond was in that series. Oh man, I'm really not liking that. I really don't need Jamal to be out here. If Jamal's playing and Lakers get a lead, I will bet Nuggets live escalator to come back, finish the job and then some, and blow the doors off in the second half with it on the line. I'm not betting it now because I need to see Jamal play, and because why bother betting it now? I'm going to get a way better price when the Lakers do the thing they've done and get a lead early. So give me a live escalator if things look good to just come out, come from behind, finish the job, send the Lakers packing, and end the movie franchise for good. I've seen enough. I don't want to watch anymore.
All right, we're going to get out of here. Appreciate you guys being with us. By the way, teams in the position for gentleman's sweep at home with a 3-1 lead, 72-18 straight up since 2003. Interestingly, no Matt Mitchell rule, 41, 47-2, just 46.6% ATS. So something to keep in mind there. My thanks to Michael Fiddle. You can catch him on Twitter in the Action Network app at Fiddle's Picks. He's got a great Substack as well as the Advantage Sports Betting podcast. You can catch Brandon Anderson in the Action Network app and on Twitter at Wheaton Brando. My thanks to Josh Golden for filling in for Tito today. Appreciate him helping us out, as well as Hutton Jackson, the video crew, cutting stuff up, and David Payne and our audio crew for getting us up on the podcast form. We'll be back with Buckets Live later this week. We had a great crowd hanging out with us today. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hit that like button on the way out. We'll see you guys again tomorrow for best bets for Tuesday. Till then, let's get buckets.